The diner was quiet, the soft hum of jazz drifting from the speakers. Marco Romano, dressed in an expensive suit, sat in a corner booth, feeling completely out of place among the worn vinyl seats and checkered floors. Across from him, his 6-year-old daughter, Isabella, clutched a chocolate milkshake, her small hands trembling slightly, and her eyes still red from crying. "Daddy, when is Mommy coming back?" she whispered, her voice barely audible. Marco's throat tightened as he tried to find words. 3 months had passed since her mother's death, and every answer felt wrong. Around them, the ordinary bustle of families and laughter continued. But Marco and Isabella were trapped in a bubble of grief. Then she appeared, Catherine Blackwell, the waitress, moving with gentle confidence, a soft smile on her face. She paused at their table, and in that simple moment, something shifted. Marco didn't know it yet, but today, a single act of kindness would change everything. Before we continue, tell us in the comments, where are you watching from and what time is it there? And make sure to like and subscribe to Black and Wronged for more heart-touching stories. Now let's dive in. The soft clatter of plates and quiet conversations filled the humble diner. Marco Romano sat stiffly, his designer suit contrasting sharply with the worn vinyl booths and the checkered floors that had seen countless Saturday mornings. He watched Isabella slowly pick at her chocolate chip pancakes, her small hand still clutching the milkshake as if it were a lifeline. Catherine Blackwell moved gracefully between tables, carrying coffee pots and refilling drinks. Her kind brown eyes seemed to notice everything. The laughter of a young family at the next table, the way a little boy's cookie was slipping off his plate, and most importantly, the quiet sadness in Isabella's gaze. She had a maternal warmth that made her presence comforting, without needing words. Marco felt a pang of guilt as he tried to focus on his phone, pretending to check emails, but his attention kept returning to his daughter. He wanted to fix everything, but he didn't know how. Then Catherine paused near their booth, her eyes soft and attentive. Isabella looked up, and for the first time in weeks, a tiny spark of curiosity crossed her face. Something about Catherine told Marco that this ordinary diner visit might become an extraordinary moment. What will Catherine do next? Isabella's small fingers clutched the edge of her plate as she stared blankly at the untouched pancakes. Her tiny body trembled slightly, and the stuffed elephant her mother had given her lay forgotten on the table. Marco Romano felt his chest tighten. He had tried everything, hugs, gentle words, even distractions, but nothing could chase away the cloud of sorrow in his daughter's eyes. 3 months had passed since the accident, yet every day felt like a battle. Marco's own heart ached as he realized he couldn't fill the space left by her mother. The weight of grief was heavy, pressing down on both of them. Around them, the chatter of the diner went on, families laughing and sharing, oblivious to the quiet sadness at the corner booth. Catherine Blackwell noticed immediately. She slowed her steps, her soft brown eyes locking on Isabella. Without saying a word, she knelt slightly, giving the little girl room to breathe, yet close enough to offer comfort. Marco watched silently, unsure what was about to happen next. Isabella whispers something heartbreaking, and Catherine hears it. As Marco tried to hide his own tears behind a sip of coffee, he suddenly heard Isabella's soft voice break the silence. "I miss Mommy so much. I just want to hug her one more time." The words pierced the air like glass shattering, fragile yet impossible to ignore. Marco's throat closed, his heart breaking all over again. He reached for his daughter's hand but felt powerless. Just then, Catherine Blackwell set down the coffee pot. Her eyes softened as she looked at Isabella, not with pity but with understanding. Slowly, she slid into the booth beside the little girl. "Oh, sweetheart," she whispered gently, brushing a strand of hair from Isabella's face. "I know exactly how that feels." Marco froze. No one had ever dared to step into their grief before. Yet Catherine's presence wasn't forced. It was natural, almost as if she had been waiting for this moment. Isabella turned her wide eyes toward her, whispering, "Do you miss someone too?" Catherine nodded, her voice low but steady. "Yes, my little boy." Marco's eyes widened. Catherine had just revealed a hidden wound of her own. Catherine's voice trembled, but her eyes never left Isabella's. "My little boy Justin. He loved chocolate chip pancakes just like you, but 2 years ago, I lost him." The words hung heavy in the air. Marco's breath caught in his chest. He had seen grief in mirrors, in his own reflection, but now, here it was sitting beside his daughter. Isabella blinked, her small face filled with surprise. "Do you miss him?" "Every day?" she whispered. Every single day, Catherine replied softly. But love doesn't go away when someone leaves. It stays here. She placed her hand gently over Isabella's heart. And sometimes, when we really need it, we feel their hugs through other people. Something broke open in Isabella, not in pain, but in release. With sudden urgency, she threw her arms around Catherine, sobbing into her chest. Marco sat frozen, eyes stinging with tears. For the first time in months, his daughter wasn't crying alone. Catherine held Isabella with the tenderness of a mother, rocking gently, whispering words Marco couldn't hear but could feel. Marco wonders, had fate just placed an angel in their path? The little diner grew quiet. A few customers glanced over, their eyes soft with sympathy. But instead of staring, they respectfully turned back to their meals. It was as if everyone understood that something sacred was happening. In that corner booth, Marco's chest tightened as he watched. For weeks he had tried to be strong, tried to carry Isabella's grief and his own. But no amount of wealth or power had brought her comfort. And yet here was Catherine, a waitress in a faded uniform, holding his daughter as if she had known her all her life. Isabella's sobs slowly softened into hiccups. Her small body relaxed, resting against Catherine's shoulder. For the first time in months, her tears sounded different, not hollow, not hopeless, but healing. Marco wiped at his eyes, realizing his vision had blurred. This woman, a stranger only days ago, had somehow reached his daughter in a way he could not. Catherine kissed the top of Isabella's head softly, then met Marco's gaze across the table. For a long moment, no words were spoken, but everything was understood. Marco felt something stirring. Could this fragile bond become the key to saving them both? From that Saturday onward, something changed. The diner wasn't just a place to eat anymore. It became a refuge. Isabella would rush to their usual booth, waiting eagerly for Catherine. And Catherine always came with a gentle smile and a story to share. She told them about Justin, her little boy who used to hum while coloring, who loved dinosaurs and who laughed at his own silly jokes. Isabella listened wide-eyed, then began sharing stories of her own mom, how she braided her hair every morning, how she sang lullabies in Spanish, how she made grilled cheese better than anyone in the world. Marco found himself talking too, memories of his wife that he had locked away, stories he couldn't tell board members or employees. Catherine listened, not with pity, but with understanding. Week after week, laughter returned to Isabella's face. For the first time since the accident, Marco felt the mansion wasn't the only place they belonged. Here, in this modest diner, they were slowly building something that looked like family. One Saturday, Catherine didn't come to their table, and worry crept into Marco's heart. That Saturday, Catherine's seat stayed empty. Isabella's small hands kept tugging at Marco's sleeve. "Daddy, why didn't she come?" Marco tried to hide his unease. "Maybe she's busy, sweetheart." But when another week passed with no sign of her, Marco finally asked the waitress. The woman's eyes softened. "You should know. Catherine's in the hospital." "She's been sick for a while." "Hospital?" The word struck Marco like lightning. He hurried Isabella into the car, heart racing. When they arrived, Catherine lay pale against white sheets. Yet when she saw them, her eyes lit up. "You came," she whispered, her voice thin but warm. Isabella rushed to her, hugging her tight. "We missed you!" Tears welled in Marco's eyes as he realized the truth. Catherine wasn't just a kind waitress. She was fighting her own silent battle, one she never complained about. And in that moment, he understood this fragile woman had given his daughter something priceless. She had given her hope. But Catherine's condition was worse than they imagined. And time was running out. Marco stood by Catherine's bedside, torn between fear and gratitude. Doctors whispered that her condition might not hold for long, but Catherine only smiled, her frail hand reaching for Isabella's. "Don't be sad, little one," she whispered. "You reminded me what love feels like." Isabella clung tighter. "But you're my mommy now." Marco's throat tightened. For the first time in years, he felt powerless, a billionaire who could buy the world, yet unable to stop this moment from slipping away. And then Catherine looked at him, eyes glistening. "Promise me, you'll always protect her heart." Marco nodded, his voice breaking. "I swear." That promise changed everything. From that day, Marco didn't just raise his daughter with wealth. He raised her with love, a love Catherine had reignited. Because sometimes family isn't found in bloodlines or riches, but in the hearts that choose to stay. If this story touched you, share it with someone who needs hope today. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the bell, only on Black and Wronged, where true stories live forever.